Alright. Um, Sorry about the perspective that looks like I'm talking down, but I really don't feel like putting up some books and stuff to make it eye level. Whatever. Point is, today I just saw Aquaman 2. I've been waiting for this one for a while, not because I was excited for it, but because it went through so many reshoots, it went through so many delays, and this is like the last DC EU movie before James Gunn like completely resets it. So, I was excited to see like how much of a train wreck it was. I've never been a fan of Aquaman, like as the comic book character, and I didn't really care for the movie that much, the first one. But it was my birthday today, and so I was like, oh, you know what? I want to go see a bad movie for my birthday. I'm gonna go see Aquaman 2. And when I went to the theater, that day I only had 5 hours of sleep, so I was fully expecting to just doze off in the theater. Does it have over-reliance on CGI? Yes. Is the CGI like pretty mid? Yes. Does it completely fumble like the third act? Yes. But at the same time, it's just so fucking fun. This movie is literally it's not a good movie. Let me clear that out right now. This is not a good movie. But this is it's like the equivalent of like a Saturday morning cartoon. It's a pretty good like comic book movie. Like it's not a good movie, but it's like comic book to film. Like I mean, with like some of the movement of the camera, it's like going from panel to panel. Like I could just see it. It's very well done. Like the cinematography, very well done. James Wan, you know, I haven't really looked at his cinematography, but he's a very good director, especially with the action choreography in this movie. But I'll talk about that later. Of course, as always, I don't have a script for this. So first, I'm going to talk about the main man himself, Aquaman. So this Aquaman here is played by Jason Momoa, and so his character in the movie, and in the first one, he's very fun to watch, and I think he's a good protagonist. But he never really seemed like Aquaman to me, because although I've never been a fan of Aquaman, and from what I've seen, like to me Aquaman always seemed to be like a stoic, kind of serious guy, and Jason Momoa just doesn't play that part at all. He's constantly like bitching and moaning about being king when like Aquaman in the comics, I feel like takes that like he has like Jesus Christ. Like Aquaman in the comics, he takes the job of king like with a lot of pride. Like, oh shit. In the comics, I feel like he takes the role of being like the king of Atlantis like very seriously. But in this movie, he always like fucks around. He never like there's only like a few times where he's serious, but I feel like Aquaman in the comics and just in any other form of media I've seen, he's pretty serious. And I feel like that's a nice balance like with the Justice League. Aquaman, who's this king, and he has like the burden of this entire kingdom on his shoulders. I think that's a very cool character, and that's why like I never really thought Aquaman really needed his own movie, because I can see why they made Jason Momoa the way he is in this movie. It wouldn't be a fun watch as a protagonist. You need this like fuck up to be their main protagonist, so he can learn from his mistakes. But who is like Aquaman though in the comics is Jason Momoa's brother in this movie, Ocean Master, who is the villain of the last movie. Like, I mean, he acts exactly like how I feel like Aquaman would act, in all the situations. Even like he looks like Aquaman with the short blonde hair. Jason Momoa just doesn't scream like Aquaman to me. He just seems like this, bro. That's not what I feel like Aquaman would be. But again, I'm not like a giant fan of him. But yeah, Ocean Master was really good. I really liked Ocean Master in this movie. He had some pretty. He acted as like a fish out of water since it's like his first time on the surface, and like that provides some funny jokes. Like there's at one point, because this guy like is always swimming, he's never traveled to the surface. He's like learning how to run for the first time. That was pretty comedic. Once they restart the DC universe, what I feel like they need to do, like ideally, is to get, I think his name is Patrick Wilson, the guy who played Ocean Master in this movie, make him Aquaman in future DC movies, and make Jason Momoa like Lobo or something. I don't fucking know, but he just doesn't scream like maybe like in the Justice League movies he's a bit more serious, but I don't know. What else to talk about this movie? Oh, Black Manta. Okay, so again, I'm not a huge Aquaman fan, but Black Manta, from what I can tell, fucks. All right, his design fucks, dialogue fucks. Like in the comics, he kills Aquaman's baby, cuts off his hand, and is like immediately like, oh, how's the wife and kids? Like he's a straight savage. He does not fuck around. His Injustice 2 windscreen fucks. And I mean, and he's really good. I like him a lot in this movie. Like, cause here's the thing: in the first movie, he gets like bitched around. Like he's there. He has like he has like this really cool like suit making scene, but like he gets bitched around the first one, so you're like, oh, he's gonna come back in the second one, and he's gonna be all powerful. And you know what? He is for like a majority of the movie, until like they fumble in the third act, which I'll get to later. But I mean, he's a really fun character to watch in this movie. And like the fights between Aquaman and Black Manta in this movie were also really cool to watch, but they completely fumble him because for some reason, I don't know what it is, but the first one and the second one had two different villains. I mean, like they had two villains in both movies, which there's no need to have a second villain in this movie. And the second villain is like this fucking skeleton guy. I don't even remember his name because it was so lame. That rhymes, so it's true. And so basically, he like, skeleton guy is like, oh, Black Manta, you know, if you help me, I'll help you kill Aquaman, or whatever. And so, basically, Black Manta, you know, is a complete savage throughout the movie, until like the very end, he gets bitched by Aquaman, because like, that's when the skeleton guy gets released. And the skeleton guy is like released, because he's like trapped in the entire movie. He's like trapped in ice, and that's why he needs Black Manta's help. So the skeleton guy gets released, and then he's like killed like 2 minutes later. Like he's not even really much of a threat. It's so fucking lame. Like you like have him completely removed from the movie and just make Black Manta like the main focus. You know, he has motive from the first one. You know, he's a fucking badass. People like him, but they just completely bitch him around. It's so lame. Oh, by the way, Amber Heard, she's in this movie. If you don't like her, don't worry. She's only like in 10 minutes of this movie maximum. This movie's like 2 hours. So don't worry about that. You know what? I'm going to talk about if I was in the writing room, you know, because me, I'm super intelligent, super awesome. If I was in the writing room and I could do the job better than these people, what I would do is first, I would still keep the skeleton guy. And I'll get to that later, but I would still keep the skeleton guy. What I would do is, so in the movie, Black Manta needs royal blood to free the skeleton guy. So he goes after Aquaman's child. I don't know how he knew Aquaman had a child. I don't know how he was able to find Aquaman's child. But he goes to Aquaman's child and kidnaps him. And then he stabs Aquaman's dad, who's like a human. Me personally, if I was in the writer's room, I would have let Aquaman's dad die. But instead, like, what he does is he stabs Aquaman's dad. He's like, oh, I'm gonna let you live so he can watch you die. And I didn't know if that meant, like, he was going to die, like, as Aquaman got back to the house, or if he was going to die later on because he thought he was going to beat Aquaman and whatever. But either way, Dad lives. Me, personally, I would have let Dad die, because, you know, that would, like, put Aquaman at rock bottom, you know, with his child kidnapped, and now his dad dead. You know, he would have been complete rock bottom. And this movie places a focus on family and brotherhood. But I think this movie should have been put a focus on family and fatherhood, because the thing is, in the first movie, Aquaman, you know, throws a trident at Black Manta's dad in the submarine, and like Black Manta calls to Aquaman, he's, Jesus fucking Christ, my dog. Black Manta calls to Aquaman, and he's like, hey Aquaman, I know you just threw a trident at my dad, and I know we're bad people, but can you please help my dad, please? And Aquaman is like, no, you guys fucking suck. And so he leaves, like, Black Manta's dad to die. And, you know, so that's what gives Black Manta the motive, because then Black Manta's like, kill Aquaman. Black Manta's dad is like, kill Aquaman. You must live to kill Aquaman. And Black Manta's like, yes, Dad, I will kill Aquaman. And so I think in the second movie, Black Manta should have killed Aquaman's dad. You know, it's kind of like payback, I guess. And so then, like, you know, Arthur is, like, real vengeful. He's like, oh, I'm gonna fucking ruin Black Manta. I'm gonna kill everything, you know, and he's gonna slowly turn into like, he's gonna have like the same amount of hatred as Black Manta does. Or like he's getting there. And so it would kind of serve as like Black Manta. God, this, you know what? This actually might be stupid. This actually might be the worst idea ever, but I'm so far along talking that I gotta finish it. So either way, so like Black Manta and, you know, Aquaman would be like mirror, like, you know, there are like two sides on the same coin. Oh my god. But, and so basically, you get to the end. I have Aquaman have like a heart-to-heart with like his mom or something about like, oh, you know, your dad, he lived like a great life, blah blah blah, and, you know, just have like Arthur Morgan like kind of retreat from the dark side a little. And so then later on, you get to the end. Aquaman, you know, sees his child, sees Black Manta, is like, Black Manta, I'm gonna fucking kill you. Then, you know, Skeleton Guy gets released, but instead of Black Manta, you know, losing to Skeleton Guy and losing all his powers, I don't know, Black Manta's like hatred fucking beats the Skeleton Guy. Because then it does like a kind of twist, because like, you already knew, like from the get-go, if you've seen like more than 3 movies, you already knew like the Skeleton Guy wasn't gonna hold up his deal and just completely fuck Black Manta over. So it'd been even cooler if like Black Manta somehow, you know, I don't know, countered his powers, you know, kind of like absorbed them or something. Just like, it'd be like a nice little twist, because, you know, you already saw in the movie that it was gonna go in that direction. So it would have been nice to have that twist there and just have Black Manta have complete control. So now, like, he's even more powerful. And so now Arthur Morgan completely, like, bitches him, but in, like, a cool way, not in a lame way that they did in this movie. And so then, you know, and then have Black Manta, you know, struggling to get up. Because in this movie, he's like holding on to onto a cavern, like he's about to fall. And Arthur Morgan, like, he kneels down, he's like, oh man, like, and holds out his hand, and Black Manta rejects it, and, you know, he falls down to his death, and that's how he dies. And, you know, I like that, but it just didn't feel earned in this movie. So I feel like if they did it where, like, Arthur learns that if he lets his hatred consume him, and I know we've had this story like a ton before, but it just works for me, that if he lets his hatred consume him, he'll become like Black Manta. So he reaches his hand out for Black Manta, hatred consumes Black Manta, he rejects Arthur's help, falls to his death, dies. You know, that would have worked much more for me, because like, it's just a generic, boring ending for it in the how it was in the movie. But yeah, I mean, that was like my main gripes, but aside from that, it was like a really fun movie. I had 0 expectations when walking into the theater, like 0. I thought I was just gonna fall asleep, and that was it. But, you know, it was fun. It was fun. I had a good time, and, you know, I can't really say that about most Marvel movies. Like, now that James Gunn is gone from the Marvel movies, they really need to step it up, and also. They just lost Jonathan Majors, because, you know, he beats women. So, like, they are fucked. Which is crazy to think about, like, after, like, Avengers Endgame, you know, they had everyone eating in the palm of their hand, and they completely fumbled, because they focused on quantity over quality. But now DC is, like, on the uprising, now that James Gunn is at DC. The Batman with Robert Pattinson was really good. And even though these movies underperformed, I don't know. I still think they were really good. I think Blue Beetle was good. Like, Blue Beetle was good and fun. This movie's fun, which, again, I didn't even fucking watch Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. The Marvels just was not good at all. Like, I don't really think I can give it that much praise, or any at all. I can give some to Aquaman, but I can't give anything to, like, Marvel movies. So, I think DC's in a good direction. I think it's really funny that this movie, the movie franchise of DC, started out with Man of Steel, you know, the super serious Zack Snyder Superman movie, and ends with fucking Aquaman 2. Like, no one would have expected that. I think it's so funny. And now, you know, it's going to reset, and James Gunn is going to have his own movie series, his own, like, movies in that universe. I'm excited for that. I think that's going to be good. I think that's all I have to say. I'm sure, like, once I click off this, once I press stop on this, there's gonna be like a lot of things that I want to talk about. But I think that's it. Aquaman 2 gets like a 6 out of 10. Go watch it with your friends. You'll probably have like a ton of fun with it. I think that's all I have to say about it. Yeah. Goodbye.
This one's for all my baby girls. I see your comments, ladies, and they make me smile. I'm lurking and I'm stalking when you least expect